Personal log, Captain Sarkazian, commanding colonization ship Endeavour attached to Group Alpha Epron. It's been about 5 days since the war. We've had to leave early. As far as we know, everything's been destroyed back home. We were in orbit taking in supplies, preparing for our journey. Supposedly 8 months from now, but we were forced to leave early. It appears that 90% of the planet has been destroyed. We did receive some communications from some survivors. They plan on following as soon as possible. We must press on with what we have and try not to count on them. I'm going to keep a personal journal of what's happening, supplemental to the official log. This is my personal story, my personal account of the events that we will go through. I will continue the log in a few days when things settle down around here. I just wanted to make a first entry. It's been quite some time since I made an entry to the supplemental log. Things are going better now. It's been approximately 183 days since we left Earth orbit, and we've just crossed the boundary of Pluto, the outermost planet. We should be making the jump in about 20 or 30 days. The colonists are still in well. They're adjusting to the shock. We've stopped receiving transmissions from Earth. Apparently, our last transmission was somewhat garbled. It appears that there's been some killing going on, at least in the central control area of the colonization mission. We're unsure as to the fate of the people left behind. The launch vehicles, as far as we know, still remain intact. They might still yet recover, but we can't wait for that. The jump will commence. The colonists should be able to handle the stresses, even without the drugs that we need. Right now, ship complement consists of 800 colonists and approximately 180 crew members. Dr. Wiles thinks we can make it. Our food stocks are good. We have plenty of livestock, and we have plenty of things stored in genetic cryonics. We should make it okay. I'm feeling upbeat. I will make another entry soon. I just came from a very satisfying staff meeting with Dr. Wiles and most of the chief crew members, including Chief Engineering. The asteroid impact on the primary sail, as recorded in the official captain's log, shouldn't affect us too greatly. We're at the point now where solar power is not going to be that much of a concern. It appears that things are going to go well. We're going to make it. We jump in 2 days. Chief Engineer Greg Parton feels that we'll be fine with what we have so far. I'm kind of confused right now. There's so much going on in the ship. Since we've left Earth 212 days ago, we've had 6 childbirths on board. The animals are just well. Now we can just hope that the satellite data relayed by the probe from Alpha Epron is accurate, and there is something there. We need something. There's no turning back at this point. I must leave. We have some things we have to do. Jump went well. We just came out the other side. We're about 0.8 light years from Alpha Epron. Things are really looking forward. The jump was kind of strange. We lost about 20 crew members through sickness from the jump itself. The Kearney-Fushida drive affects people that way, especially since we didn't have enough drugs. Those people will receive high mention in my official report, if it ever gets filed. They gave up their drugs for colonists and for children. fully aware of the effects it could have had on them. Strange times, great sacrifice from people. But they will receive the recognition that they deserve. Chief Engineer Parton reports the ship is secure. Dr. Wiles is handling any medical problems, and he's also tackling some of the unique problems we're going to see when we reach the planet's surface, if it is habitable. We've gotten some preliminary information from the data probe. It's still orbiting Alpha Epsilon 3. We'd like to move it over to Alpha Epsilon 4 because it looks so more promising. We're going to try to make contact with it using the hyperchannel and see if we can move it over. I don't know if it still has any power yet, but it offers a great source of hope. Things are going strange. Success. We've reached orbit around Alpha Epsilon 4. It's a tremendous planet. Life. There's a massive continent in the northern hemisphere, up by the poles. It's huge. It's ideal. We've done atmospheric sampling. It's very similar to Earth. The terrain is ideal. We just can't get over it. We're all pretty excited here. I mean, this is beyond what we believe is possible. It is somewhat deficient in native wildlife, though. It does have photosynthetic organisms, and it is producing an oxygen-rich atmosphere, primarily with nitrogen. Very similar to Earth. It matches within 89% of Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Wiles is going to set to work breaking out some of the genetic stock and cloning some organisms for seeding. He estimates in 20 or 30 years we can have this thing habitable. I mean, not just habitable, but we could have a thriving population down there. We're going to send down some initial parties in a week to 10 days when we get the information back. The planet itself, Alpha Epsilon 4, is a little bit larger than Earth. Gravity is about 1.05 of Earth, not much difference at all. The solar year is 400 days, very close. We're thinking about adopting a decimal calendar system. Each season is almost exactly 100 days. It's kind of odd. It looks very, very promising. We plan on sitting down the first team. Dr. Wiles is insisting on going. You know Benjamin Wiles, that's the way he is. Greg Parton, the engineer, is worked on some survival gear, slapped it together at parts we had. The colonists are excited. I'm afraid if we don't let them go down, they're going to riot. Who can blame them after being on the ship for a year and a half? As soon as I get some more information back, I'll come back to the log and report. Well, it seems it's better than we thought. The party's down there now. We've received some information. There's the native life is very benign. I don't think there's going to be much competition with the Earth fauna. There is some concern that the Earth organisms will run wild and take over, but we might be able to help that. Wiles at least thinks he can. He's going to do some engineering and take out some of the native aggressiveness of the Earth species. The biocompatibility is almost a perfect match. We can eat many of the organisms down there. The soil will support growth of plants. Even our livestock will be able to eat some more vegetation, which will help us out immediately as far as grazing. I've authorized the first settlement to be sent down. We're going to send down about 100 people, volunteers from the colonists. We've already asked for volunteers. Out of 800 colonists, we got 750 volunteers. It was kind of hard to weed them out, but we'll have that taken care of. We plan on moving down fully. I'm going to suspend the log for a while. I'm going to be way too busy, but I think it's going to be more interesting when I get down to the planet myself. Things are looking real good. We might even land the ship. We're talking about landing the ship. There's this one structure to the southeast, it looks ideal. There's a large water mass there, and it's right on the side, right on the shore of one of the primary oceans. We've called it Tranquility Bay, so that will be the first landing spot. And who can forget the moon landings, the Sea of Tranquility? Just a nostalgic touch. But our geography department is going along naming all the structures as quick as they can. I'll have to step in and do it myself somewhat. I'll come back, hopefully I'll have a map. I can enter that into the log. Oh, I have a map. We have complete satellite photo reconnaissance on this area now. We got a composite map. Well, we have a satellite map of the primary continent we plan on colonizing. In my exuberance, I didn't pay close attention to the facts here. Tranquility Bay is in the southwest side of the continent, or I believe I said northeast. We plan on putting the first colonization settlement down here at the points. We're going to name it Fushida, after the Kearney-Fushida Drive. We might build Kearney on the other side of the inlet just to be fair to two people. But that's what was voted. That's what we decided to name it. We're going to put the colonists down here in this area first to start off with. I plan on landing the ship in the bay area. The water should support it. We're going to land the other two ships up here on the two other inlets we haven't quite yet named. And do some science up here, do some exploration stuff. We got to get the people off the ship. They're going nuts. They've been on here too long. Dr. Wiles and Engineer Parton, feel that through massive terraforming we can really convert this thing and work on it. We plan on setting up a antimatter fusion power plant down in here to support all of our areas. We're going to run some cables and stuff. That's all we have on hand. We plan on getting this done through here. I have to report some insurrection amongst the colonists. There are some in the group who feel that because of the death of Earth, we should abandon the technology and just go back to simple life. Benjamin likes to call them Amish terrorists in his quirky sense of humor. It's not a laughing matter, but they're very serious about it. They're a minority group right now, but they seem to be getting some people on their side. We have to keep a close eye on them. I understand the trauma. The ship psychologist thinks that it'll pass once we get down on the planet. But there has been some violent acts amongst the ships, people smashing computers, smashing food processors, feeling that the technology is the enemy. We have to keep a close eye on that. Well, here we are. The geography is very normal. You got your rivers, formations. The trees are actually very interesting. They're very similar to Earth trees. Very, very similar. The desert area is extremely hot and dry, as a desert should be. The weather patterns are very normal as far as we can tell. It looks ideal. I can't believe how ideal it looks. It's getting late. I have to get to a meeting. I'll come back on this later. Well, it's been about 250 days since we've arrived on the planet. I've been down on the planet. It's my first time coming back up with the ship. We are going to land it tomorrow. Things are going, again, very well. Colonists are set up. We have a small city built, prefab structures. We laid some concrete for ground cars. We look very promising. As far as moving out, the people are adjusting very well. Things are going well. We're going to land the ship tomorrow in the ocean. We're going to offload quite a bit of the equipment and get it out there, get it set up. The fusion power plants are going very well. They're producing quite a bit of power. We've set up the defense projectors. We've had some isolated incidents of violence from the native fauna. It's a very large predator. It's an underground creature. It burrows underground. It's about 7 or 8 feet tall, and it's got 4 sets of eyes and massive mandibles. It looks like a giant insect. But it's been burrowing around the area. It's killed a few colonists. But we're going to hunt it down. We believe there's 8 or 9 of them in the area. But the defensive perimeter is up. The obelisk is built, and it's projecting the fields properly. We've also extended the settlement to across the river. Again, we built Kearney, like I mentioned we would. The fishing is going very well. The fish are very compatible. There's a few that we've had some poisoning cases, but we've managed to treat them without any difficulties. Benjamin Wiles is down there. He's doing his alterations of the plant life and getting that set up, and things are looking very promising again. I'm going to sign off for now. I got some things I got to do, but I'll come back and update. Well, we've had more of the terrorism. The Amish extremists, which are actually more of a throwback, primitive era times, has succeeded in smashing and destroying the protective obelisk, the projection field. We had to re-erect it. We did it with no serious danger, but the fact that they're going to this extreme indicates some possible danger. The fusion power plant is almost operational. The next one we're building up to the north. We've moved the settlements up north. We've covered quite a bit of territory. The other ships, I'm moving them back down to this area. I'm hoping that their presence might settle the colonists down, especially the extremists. It's hard to believe we might come this far and end up messing ourselves up. Hopefully we can reason with these people, and this time stuff will stop. The psychologist thinks that it might be a little more serious than she first guessed. Do what we can with it. Computer, Captain Supplemental Log, open file. We've had problems. Oh my God. Deep to the south here, on a small island out here, we've built the primary fusion plant. We had both ships down there and quite a few people. The extremists got to it. They lowered the containment fields in the fusion antimatter reactor. It annihilated everything in the area. It's getting dark out. We have the nuclear winter effect, very similar to what we saw on Earth. The temperature is dropping. It's had major impact. We're going to be in big trouble. The third ship, the one we're on, we're still up here at the bay. We've loaded up as many colonists as we can, and we've extended power fields as far as we can. The fusion reactors, all up and down, they were all linked in parallel, beaming power, and with one blew up, it destroyed the other two, although not quite as severely. We are in grave danger. Most of the technology, the fusion technology we had, and most of our best physicists were on those ships, and they're gone. I don't know how we're going to handle it. I've talked to Benjamin Wiles and Engineer Parton, and they believe that we can set up a fission reaction. Problem is we need uranium, and I don't know where we're going to find it. We're going to have to do some surveys. We still have the satellites up front, but we got to take pictures awfully quick because the cloud cover is getting extremely heavy. We estimate that it vaporized about 3.2 trillion tons of water in that explosion. That's a lot of water, and that's a lot of vapor in the atmosphere. We've lost 200 or 300 people in the explosions. The Amish terrorists, they've started again. I don't know. It's really, it's frightening. We might not make it. I have work to do. I'll come back as soon as I have some plans. Computer off. It's been about 40 or 50 days since the detonation. Global temperature dropped of about 25 degrees around the planet, as far as we can tell. We've had massive kill-offs in the sea and in the plant life. I think we've seriously damaged the ecology of the planet. We've taken drastic steps. We've talked to the colonists, we've had meetings, we've talked to the senior ship officials, and we have a plan. We found some uranium deposits through satellite reconnaissance in this small island in this other bay here, deep under the mountains. We have a signature of uranium isotopes. Problem is we have no heavy equipment to get to them and dig them. Our primary plan is we're going to build a fission nuclear power plant somewhere. Wiles, accounting for the paranoia of nuclear power, considering what just happened, has decided that it might be a good idea to extend an artificial peninsula. This seems very promising. We're going to extend an artificial peninsula out here, terraform it. We're going to put the power plant at the end of the peninsula. We feel that with the setup of the peninsula, if anything occurs, we can build the reactor to jettison. In other words, we can launch it out to sea as far as we can. We have some spare heavy lift vehicles, chemical rockets. We can set the whole system out, just the reactor itself off at the tip of the power plant of the peninsula we're going to build. We're going to try to isolate it out here. Also, in case it does happen, since most of our settlements are over in this area, we plan on constructing a seawall deep underneath in the ocean over here. If we have a detonation type situation and we throw it out here and it detonates, the ensuing tides, which wiped out most of this area, will be able to be stopped by the seawall. We're going to bury it under the ocean. It's going to be maybe 20 or 30 meters just underneath the top of the water. That should rip out any waves that come over. It's kind of a, I mean, it might not be a necessary thing, but I think the colonists, it'll make them feel more secure. As far as the seriousness of the actions we're going to have to take, we're going to have to do some serious genetic engineering according to Dr. Wiles. We have no tools. We have very little things that operate anymore. The fusion plant set up an electromagnetic pulse when it went up. It destroyed many of our small tools. It destroyed things that were not shielded inside the ship were destroyed. Computers, everything. Everything outside the ship was just wiped clean electromagnetically. We have very few functioning tools. We're desperate. We're down to 80 colonists, including the crew. We have to populate a planet with 80 people. How are we going to do that? Wiles has taken cell samples from all the crew, genetic samples. We're going to begin cloning individuals. It's a non-approved method, but when they tried that on Earth, there was a big flap over it. It's not necessarily ethical, but we have to survive. We're going to do some cloning. We're going to create some people and hopefully take care of it. Wiles has postulated the idea of doing genetic engineering. His first primary project is to develop some way to extract the uranium ore from underneath the mountains on the island. He's shown us some preliminary sketches of genetically engineering humans to withstand radiation and to give them the ability to survive in that environment. We have a gas, a chemical alloy. Once we pump it into the area down there in the mine, any reaction with uranium will cause it to glow brightly, so they can actually find it without any detectors or anything like that. I'll come back when we get a chance. Well, as you can see, we're outside now. I brought a computer recorder out. I want to get some air. The ringing noise you heard was Dr. Wiles summoning me to the bridge. Apparently the final plans have been processed for the creation of the uranium mining clone. The computer processed it and put it together. We called them Wilites in honor of Dr. Wiles, his first major creation in the genetic aspect. We've completely engineered a new species from the ground up. They're going to be self-sufficient. They're going to be unaffected by radiation, by heat. It's a marvel. You can access the files, computer files, for a detailed explanation of their abilities. Their appearance is somewhat odd, but they'll be working in deep mines. We've initiated the first batch. We've taken 20 or 30 clone cells, and we've made the necessary engineering. They should be ready to come out of the incubators probably in 10 or 15 days. We've done computer implants for memories. They're going to be fully self-aware creatures with histories. They're going to be able to go about their business and extract the uranium that we need. We've already begun working on some other ideas for raw materials. We need a species to mine raw materials without any heavy equipment. A very strong creature, but not have to deal with uranium, of course. Wiles, he's the source of the humor in the man. He's taken to calling them dwarves out of old mythology. He's even talking about engineering other creatures for woodland environments, to work with lumber and trees, people who are able to get around in the woods without any special equipment, cutting trees and such. He's taken to calling them elves. He's really taken to this idea, but the colonists aren't very happy about it. Word has leaked out. there's been some insurrection, some more insurrection as far as the genetic research has gone, genetic engineering. It's a touchy situation, but I feel that they will understand when we see what we're going to get out of this. We're still living in the ship and the defensive perimeter. The only thing keeping us here is the shield. The shield wall is up protecting us right now. A couple hundred feet away from me at the edge of the perimeter, the temperature is about 40 degrees. Howling gale force winds and almost 100% cloud cover. The planet is in bad shape. It's questionable whether or not it will recover. The plans for the power plant are underway. Okay, sorry about that. We had a ground car fly over pretty low. It interfered with the camera. Got the computer system back up. The nuclear power peninsula that we're going to build is going to stretch quite a ways. We've began digging raw materials for it with conventional work. The dwarves, so-called laborers, should be prepared to go in about 100 days if I give Wiles the go-ahead. I don't see much of a choice. We moved the animals inside the defensive perimeter. You might have heard them barking a while ago, making noise. We've moved everything in, the wildlife, as much as we can recover, put it around here. We estimate that the planet might fully recover inside by the end of this year. Not fully recover, but at least stabilize to the point where we can lower the shields and move out again. We've taken some environmental suits and some men out on what remaining equipment we have. The ground car that went over as part of it, out to a portion to the north, directly north of us, a couple hundred miles, to just west of the mountain chain, to begin mining. The area in there looks very susceptible to mining. We might be able to extract some raw materials. I'm going to go back inside now. It's getting somewhat cool out here. I have to monitor some things. It's been about 200 days since I made an entry. I'm trying to conserve computer power. We've had all minimal systems. We've been operating on emergency power in the ship. Someone's tampered with the drive system, disabling it. I can't believe what's happening here. We can move the ship interplanetarily, but we're not going to be able to break orbit. And I don't think we can repair the drive. We've sent messages. We've sent hyperpulses back towards Earth, letting them know the situation here, but we haven't received any answers. Honestly, I didn't expect to. I think we're on our own. The mining is going up in here. We've blasted a long trench open with atomic weapons that we had on board to get down to the crust, and we found a very interesting item. It seems buried in this area was a odd, anomalous chunk of metal that didn't identify with anything we had. Our systems couldn't identify it. And they brought it back here, and Wiles was working on it along with Parton. They left the room. When they came back, the metal had changed shape. It seems to be polymorphic. The metal had altered itself to look like a laser pistol. Well, we've done some tests on it. It functions just like a laser pistol, but it's made of an alloy we cannot identify. We've began digging in this area here, a landfill area. The Wilhites are functioning very well on the island over there. They're extracting quite a bit of uranium, basically with their bare hands. I'll be getting an updated satellite picture here soon of the peninsula we've constructed. It's almost all the way done. The landfill, the uranium landfill that we're going to put there, the dump, is where we're going to dump it all and bury it, all the used isotopes for the power plant. It's not an ideal solution, but there's not much more we can do with it. We have no more heavy lift vehicles to get it off the planet. We have to dump it somewhere, and that seems to be an ideal place. We've used a couple atomic weapons to blast open some craters to get down to where we can dig easier. The use of the atomic weapons isn't a very good idea either, but what can we do? That strange piece of metal just frightens me. I've saw it myself, and when you touch it, it seems to vibrate or throb as if it's pulsating. We quarantined it and isolated it. No one's allowed to go near it anymore. Now some more personal news. Dr. Wiles' son is came across an unusual phenomenon. He's not the first. This has been going on somewhat, and I neglected mentioning it because of my uncertainty and hesitation. It seems very strange. We've always had some evidence of telekinetic powers or psi powers in some people. Very, very minor stuff. Nothing very serious. I mean, aside from the mild precognition or maybe even the extremely rare ability to move very small objects a very small distance. But for some reason or another, some of our people are, as soon as we reach this planet, these powers have been enhanced. Wiles has investigated it further. I'm being summoned to the bridge. I shall return in a moment. Okay, I'm back. It's a very mild call, utility call we've had. Stranger and stranger. Things are getting odd. I was just summoned to the bridge. Apparently, where they've been blasting the landfill for the uranium, another one of these strange items were found. The odd metal, and it instantly polymorphed to a digging entrenchment, a digging tool. As soon as the technician found it, they're transporting it back to the ship immediately. Things are getting odd. Anyway, what I was speaking of about Dr. Wiles, there's been this strange phenomenon he's investigating. It appears that people are gaining, I don't know what other word to use, gaining the ability to manipulate their environment without touching it. They've been able to, and they're not sure how they do it either. They'll move objects or to raise or lower temperature slightly. He's, in his archaic mind and quirk, decided to dub this new power magic. How else can you explain it? I mean, it sounds like magic of legend. People are doing strange things. His son has gained extraordinary. I mean, he is probably the most powerful person, at least with this ability. His ability is very strong in him. He's done very strange things. I've seen him myself. He can make electrical arcs shoot from his fingers. He can manipulate his environment. He can pick people up and move them. He can make objects hang in the air. He's not quite sure how he's doing it. Wiles is studying him carefully. He believes that it might be a power channel through the mind. It appears that certain geometrical relationships are involved in this. The frame of thought is very geometrical to access this power, but we're still working on that. I'll update you on that later. It's a very bizarre phenomenon. It's becoming more apparent in more people. Things are getting stranger and stranger. The power plant is almost functional. Genetic engineering is going well with the various races. He's created many different races. There is another strange thing while we're on strange things. The viewer of this vlog might think I'm getting somewhat paranoid concerning the stress I'm under, but they can think what they want. I swear, I came into the chief engineer's quarters the other day, Greg's, and it was dark, and he was in there, and he looked strange. I think it was just a trick of my imagination, but there's been some odd things happening. He looked very strange. It was as if he had changed the length of his arms as I looked at him. It was as if his arms had shortened. They were stretched across the room, and as I gleamed in, they quickly shrunk to normal size. It's just odd. But the thing that really brought my attention to it is that when I think about it, this is the first time weird things like this have happened with him. I must do some speaking. I have to speak to him about stuff like this. I've spoke to the psychologist. She's prescribed me some mild sedatives. Things are getting strange. I have to get back to work. I'll record the log later on when I find some more out. I must be going insane. confronted Greg about what I saw, just jokingly, just as a joke. I mean, just told him I was seeing things, and he seemed very interested in what I saw. And I was in his cabin talking to him, and he left for a moment to get something. And I walked around, and I found some very old photographs in his drawers. I should have been snooping. I have to find more out. They're very old photographs. I mean, approximately 1880s or 1870s. And I swear to God, he was in it. Or at least a very close relative of him, but it looked just like him. So I ran a search through the computer on his family tree, just out of curiosity. I thought maybe it was a close relative in the time. It was in San Francisco in 1880, and I found very little family tree on him, but I did find one curious anomaly here. Romania, back in the 1300s, the legend of the vampire. There was Vlad the Impaler, the first vampire. And in this database has Vlad the Impaler, a couple of the names, Ingray, and right there it is, a vampire named Greg. Parton. It was a Romanian form of Parton. But it was if you Americanize it or make it into English, it comes out to be Greg Parton. Back in the 1300s, it's a vampire. Now, of course not. I'm not trying to make any kind of conjecture or connection, but it just seemed very strange. Very old pictures of him, and I've talked to some of the other officers, and they've lately seen very strange things associated with Greg. I must keep this very secret. I put a security access on this log so that no one can get a hold of it, and I'm going to keep a very close eye on him. The colonists are adjusting well to life now. The genetic engineering is not popular. What of our children? Our children are going to become monsters. Literally. We've taken as many clones as we can, but there's only so far you can press clone tissue. We've now had to take volunteers from the colonists. We're actually genetic engineering people who had a formal life as a human being. Now they've become others. It takes a very brave individual to step forward and volunteer to be transmuted to something totally strange. Most of the crew has undergone this procedure to help out in their respective areas. I'm moving the ship to the tip of the power plant. We've named the power plant after Enrico Fermi, the first man to split the atom. And it seemed to be the right thing to do. Maybe his name will protect us. We're moving the ship there. I'm going to ground it. We've had some very unusual happenings with the weather system. The planet has stabilized somewhat. Things are going better. It seems that we might be able to survive this crisis if everything goes well. Computer off. We've had contact with apparently native intelligence. Who could have thought that it could have been here? We didn't see them. We've had contact with the humanoid intelligence that came to our camp and spoke to us. It was very arrogant and very demanding of us. It spoke in English, and it stated that it was a supreme being. It called itself a god. It stated that we must worship it. We tried to make contact and speak to it in a civilized manner, but it got violent when we would not bow to it. It actually got upset that we would not bow and scrape to it. It killed 3 members and left quickly. We've had tapes, we've had file tapes of it. We're trying to study it and find out where it came from and what's going on. It's definitely not human. It's not a colonist. It's not someone masquerading. It's not something that Wiles has created. I'm at a loss for words at this point. It's so strange. I must run to the bridge. I start duty in a few moments. I'll try to get some information and enter it into the log. We've had more contact with this alien intelligence. 12 of them came to our camp down in Fushida and spoke to the colonists. I've received a tape of the communication. They've arrogantly proclaimed, and I quote, "We are the gods of this planet. We are the gods of humanity. You must cast off your technology, you must cast off your machines and worship us." And then it proceeded to destroy the city. It annihilated everything. It killed hundreds. 100 people that we sorely cannot lose. They've demanded to speak with the leader of the humans and the other species we've created. They demand to speak to me, and they wish me to submit to their rule, where they proclaim they are gods. The powers I spoke of earlier, while I was investigating, the powers to manipulate matter without touching, they had these powers greatly. They didn't touch anything, yet they annihilated everything. They've demanded my presence. They demand to speak to me. Wiles has taken a few steps. He feels that our end may be very near to us. He's taking some steps to hopefully ensure that some humans will survive in some form or another. I haven't had a chance to speak to him and find out exactly what he's doing, but he might be able to save at least a portion of us. We tried everything on these beings, but we cannot stop them. They've destroyed a great many things. I must go out and speak to them now. They demand my presence outside the ship at about this time. We don't know if they're around, but I will go out and speak to them. I have not come all this way to submit mankind's future to a collection of beings I do not understand. We will fight them if we can. We came this far, what do we have to lose? We'll fight them to the last.